be potentially a nice Christmas present for Cardinals fans everywhere turned into the nightmare during Christmas after, again, a very questionably driven Arizona Cardinals team losing to the Colts at home on Christmas to fall to 10-5. Bo Brack, Alex Clancy, here's our post-game reaction show. Giddy up.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Reaction show. These are getting more and more difficult to do. I'm not really sure where to start. I'll jump to Bo here in just a minute. Thank you to everybody who watches, listens, subscribes, reaches out to us on YouTube. Merry Christmas to everybody. Hope you're all enjoying time with your family. That's what's really important here. Bo and I get to be loud on microphones from where we are. We are enjoying time with our family. So thank you for taking a little time out of your holiday season to spend it with us. That's most important of all of this. Bo, there's a lot of things to point to here. I will get to my Cliff Kingsbury stuff at the end. Matt Prater leaves 7 points on the field. I don't know if it was Colt McCoy, the absence of Andy Lee. I don't know if it was mental stuff. I have no idea what it was. But the Cardinals, as a team, as an entity on the field, there is still something, the most important thing, missing. And we don't know what it is. Sure, DeAndre Hopkins is out. James Conner was out. But I feel like what they were doing well in the first half just completely was removed from the cerebellum in the second half. They have one extremely charged drive that ended in a touchdown, but it seems like these guys just don't really know where their North Star is, as it were. Like, it just seems like a lost team, and it results in another loss against a heavily undermanned opponent, even though they were better than the Lions, obviously.
No Darius Leonard, no Quentin Nelson, no Ryan Kelly. You know, another member of their offensive line was missing, and you rack up 2 sacks. You're not getting enough pressure on Carson Wentz, who passes over 200 yards for, only a few times this season. It comes down to that you spotted a playoff team 9 points. You had the safety, and here's the other thing. Your offensive line isn't good enough right now. Josh Jones has 3 penalties in this game. Max Garcia, the issues with the snapping of the football, whether it's Rodney Hudson, Max Garcia, or whoever it is, it's not good enough. They need to get on the same page with their quarterback. It's this defense, they let Carson Wentz drive down on them and put together a game-winning drive, essentially put that game out of reach. And there was really no clawing back into this one. But Matt Prater needs to figure things out. But at the same token, they had all the momentum in that second half. They get the stop that they needed, they get the drive that they needed, and then they get another stop. And then next thing you know, pass, 3 and out. Game completely changes. Colts take advantage. They don't look back, and the Arizona Cardinals are picking up the pieces once again after another loss in a game that was well within their grasp.
Yeah, and that's the frustrating part. Like, if they didn't have the talent, this would be completely different conversations, obviously. But penalties. There are a couple signs that we're starting to see of what poorly led teams do. Penalties, namely one of them. They had more penalties than points in the first half. Okay? The Matt Prater kick that went off the goalpost, that's what people are going to remember. But what they should be looking at is the 2nd and 4 end-around call by Cliff Kingsbury, where it's like, you know what? We got this game in the bag. That's the kind of time when you make that play call, instead of keeping it simple, running the ball up the gut, or having Kyler Murray throw the ball, instead of running a ridiculous circus end-around that seems to never work, ever. They don't work.
I disagree. I mean, you look at the drive that did work. They had several trick plays. They had the punt return that was a trick play in itself, and then you had the throw to, what was it? Was it Christian Kirk that threw back to Kyler Murray? That was a big play on that drive. Look, I mean, they're not going to change who they are. It doesn't work. The execution is my biggest problem right now. I mean, I think it started in the beginning of this game when Christian Kirk dropped a big third down play, 3rd and 3, Kyler Murray puts a perfect ball on him and it hits he ends up letting it go through his grasp. And that would have put the Arizona Cardinals in a prime position to score points, if not score a touchdown on that drive. Matt Prater misses his first field goal of the game there. And, they just completely fall short. I thought what was able to do in relatively containing Jonathan Taylor is exactly what you wanted. And you let that slip through by letting, Carson Wentz where was the pressure on that third down play from Vance Joseph, a guy that's just notorious for dialing up pressures? Zero pressure. He had 3 rushers on that play. And as far as what the coverage was, they botched it. And it cost the Arizona Cardinals 7 on that, put the game away for the Colts. You can't just point to one department. Sure, absolutely. The drive that when they went 3 and out completely crushed the momentum. But I think as far as execution, as far as this entire team, it doesn't fall squarely on the shoulders of Cliff Kingsbury. It doesn't fall squarely on the shoulders of Matt Prater's leg. It doesn't fall on Kyler Murray. But they need to, at some point, they need to figure this out, because this was a winnable game several times over, and they didn't do it. And it's just like, it continues to follow the theme. It encapsulates what they've been trying to do, is clinching. What are they, 0-3 now as far as trying to clinch a playoff spot between 2020 and 2021? And, it's just now becoming a parody of itself.
I'm sorry. I wish I was surprised. I don't know why people think that things are just magically going to change because you think they're going to. Like,
well, aren't you surprised after that? Aren't you surprised, though, after how they came out in the second half? Didn't you think that it was, they had all the momentum. It seemed like it was just swinging their way, and it just completely, they pulled the chute on that faster than you could even blink.
Mm-hmm. And actually, when they run the ball first, run the ball second, get a first down. They ran it on 4th down with Jonathan Ward, got a first down, 3 passes. And that like, it's just, Cliff Kingsbury doesn't get it. He just doesn't get it. And it's becoming more and more apparent. And I tweeted out, and we're not going to get into this now because I want to have a conversation.
I'm going to say I disagree with that.
I know you do, and I think you're wrong.
Yeah.
And I think every week, I just can't believe why people still continue to defend Cliff Kingsbury. Steve Keim, if the Cardinals don't win the Super Bowl, Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury need to be fired. I've seen enough.
That's
and
laughable.
If you haven't seen enough, that's fine, but you're thinking short-sighted, and I'm thinking long-term. Steve Keim is not good at his job. He's good at saving his job by acquiring talent from other teams. Imagine being able to draft players in the first round of the last 2 years that could play meaningful snaps instead of standing on the sidelines or being part of the hands team like Zaven Collins is. That's the peak. The peak of their year this year, them combined, was Zaven Collins recovering the onside kick that led to a loss anyways. That's the peak of their year so far. So, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get why people still defend him. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. And it's obvious every time the lights are the brightest.
Well,
he's completely overmatched.
They're going to be a playoff team.
Overmatched.
10-5.
And that was on the legs of the defense. That was the defense that set them up for success early in the season. And if they don't have that, they can't put up points. They've put up 28 points in 2 weeks against second stringers. How is that not enough? If the offense isn't the strength of this team, why is he the head coach?
It comes down to execution too. Like I said, the Kirk drop is huge. The AJ Green had a big drop on second down on the 3 and out, where I thought that they needed to get, it comes down to your offensive line playing poorly. If you can't protect your quarterback, you can't do anything. But you're sitting here. But let's not lose sight of. This team is in a slump right now, but they're 10-5. They're 10-5. They've improved each and every year. They've already improved on last year's win total, and they improve offensively each and every year. But you guys can sit there and you can say that this is all on Cliff Kingsbury, sure, because it's easy. It's an easy to have a scapegoat like that, sure. But you're wrong, and it comes down to players making plays. They didn't make enough plays out there in any phase. They had one play on special teams. They had. But they couldn't execute it on offense. They couldn't execute it on defense. The coaching staff needs to get these guys in better positions to succeed. But to sit there and just say, hey, this is on Cliff Kingsbury is completely false. It's wrong. And it's looking for one guy to wear the entire loss for the
That's
entire
what the coach's
squad.
job is. That's what the coach's job is, to get his team prepared to win. You think that team is ready to play? If you think that team's been ready to play the last month, you are blind. You are blind thinking that.
Right.
They are not ready to play when the lights are brightest. And that comes on a guy who didn't deserve this job to begin with. And we are now watching it come to fruition in front of our very eyes.
Well, you're just piling on right now. You're just piling on because they're in a slump. But there you were. You were pivoting. You were even saying Cliff Kingsbury was the coach of the year. And now you're piling on.
Because the game's in the middle of the season. Now, if you can't clinch a playoff game against Detroit.
And it's the defense. It's Kyler Murray or the defense's reason for them in their success early on. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's just whatever fits, whatever you wanted to say, go ahead.
I've been saying this since day one.
Yeah, until you did about Cliff Kingsbury midway through the season. And you were saying he reminded me as to why. Coach of the year.
And then he was reminding me as to why. Look at what's happening.
Right.
If you don't see it when it matters, he hasn't won an important NFL game ever. And it still continues to watch this, like the iceberg is right there. And they are not moving because they're just relying on Cliff to make the right decisions. And he hasn't done it once yet when it's mattered.
I mean, what are you talking about? What's been the wrong decision? What's been the wrong decision? It was the wrong decision for Matt Prater to miss a 41-yard field goal.
No, it was the wrong decision on 2nd and 4 when it's on him. When it's on
Cliff. 2nd and 4. You think it's one play that makes that type of loss? Like I said, they lost.
It was a boneheaded play call when they needed to score a touchdown.
Oh, come on, man! That just fits your stupid narrative. You guys, and your Cliff haters. Go ahead. You even said before the game that you thought that he shouldn't have even been hired, which is absolutely absurd. They've improved in every season he's been head coach. Who would you have hired? Who's
not a guy that was never a winning coach? You can't go back 3 years and have that conversation. There were myriad people.
That's who? Name one. You can't name one. You can't name one.
Are we really going to go back to 2019? I don't remember what I had for dinner last night.
You said it. I
said he never should have been hired for sure. I agree with that.
You said
I meant that, and I continue. We're not getting off track here. Alex Clancy, Brack, Locked On Cardinals.
The guy doesn't have a point. He doesn't have an answer, and he wants to.
What? I don't know who the list was. I remember they brought in Matt Patricia. I remember they brought in whoever. Frank Reich. They had in.
Don't say Matt Patricia. He's terrible. He's out.
But I'm saying I don't remember their list when they had Cliff Kings. Oh, they brought in Steve Sarkisian for an interview. I remember that.
Oh my God.
That's where they were. So I don't understand why people.
You don't understand.
I don't
offensive
understand
football.
Well, because I'm not watching any.
Yeah. Well, it's not resonating. You're not.
I'm not.
They're not making plays.
What is Cliff's job? To call the right plays, right? And to have a team ready to win. If you think that he's been a good leader and been a good head coach, I don't have anything for you.
If you think that the last 3 games makes the entire, resume of the 2021 season, you're absurd. There's
actual pressure on them. Because they're happy to be here. They're happy to be here.
Man, I disagree with that.
Alex Clancy, Bo, you know what, Bo?
Yeah, what? Tell me something.
I just want to put a little cherry on this. We're gonna talk a lot more about this on the podcast.
Yeah,
we could do this for 45 minutes. Thank you to everybody who agrees with Bo, agrees with me, who's hung out with us. Like, we're gonna go way more in depth about this in a more structured manner in the podcast that's gonna come out on Monday. Please have a happy and Merry Christmas. And I will go back to 1937 and look up the list of coaches that the Cardinals interviewed, not named Cliff Kingsbury. So I'll be ready for that pop quiz.
I just want one.
Frank Reich was one.
Somebody that would have been a great hire. Sure.
Yeah.
Would Frank Reich should he have taken over the Colts or the Cardinals with the worst constructed roster in the NFL? Do you think that they were in the running to hire Frank Reich?
They drafted Kyler Murray the next year. This is a completely different roster.
Didn't Frank Reich have? Didn't he have Andrew Luck as his quarterback before he retired?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Alex Clancy, Bo Brock, Locked On Cardinals. Merry Christmas. It's Christmas today.
Merry Christmas. Yeah, seriously. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thanks for everybody for watching.
Go spend some time with your family, damn it.
This is fun for us, by the way. It's fun for
we're going to text each other and say that was awesome when we're done. This is why we do this. This is why we make such good co-hosts with each other. Thank you to everybody. Seriously, we appreciate every single one of you. Listens, watches, likes, subscribes, whatever. Even if you don't and you're just moseying on into a random live feed after a Cardinals game, thank you. And we will talk to you on Monday.